1 in 3 Australians experience hygiene poverty and are forced to make the heartbreaking choice between buying food and personal hygiene products each week. Each year, more than 11 million personal hygiene products have been redistributed to hundreds of thousands of disadvantaged men, women, and children. 15 years ago, our guest today, Kate Austin, was responsible for creating a cheeky hotel toiletry pinching movement called Pinchapoo, and that's slang for pinch a shampoo. And this happened for many reasons, which we'll hear about today. Welcome, Kate. So good to have you back again.
Hello. I feel like I know all your stories already. Lovely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Kate, this is truly a remarkable story. Can you take us back to the genesis of the organisation when you were still a teenager?
Yeah, Pinchapoo was born, I think, probably without my knowledge at a very early age. When I was 15, 16, I was living in a pretty nasty situation of domestic violence. And I think it's a very different time back then. And I probably don't need to explain that to you, but it was a generation that, and generations before where it was a taboo subject and it didn't really have a label. And so I wasn't very aware that what was happening in my house was unusual. It wasn't something I went to my friends about and bounced ideas from. We didn't have welfare coordinators at school. It was a very tricky sort of thing to navigate, just sort of working out what was right and what was wrong. But things continued to escalate for me until one night I nearly lost my life at the hands of my dad. To this day, I still can't work out what it was that set him off. I don't think it probably doesn't really matter, to be honest, that he did. I must have looked at him the wrong way and he took to me, kicking me from one end of the house to the other, breaking all of my ribs. And that fight or flight instinct was so real in that moment that I knew I still had the strength of my legs. I didn't have my upper body because of my ribs, but I had the strength of my legs. So I managed to get myself up onto my bed and try to fight him off with my legs. And it was at that point that he picked up a cast iron desk chair that I had, cast iron legs, and held it above my head and went to put it through my skull when my brother, thank God, finally heard my screams. He was living in a bungalow in the backyard, and came in and managed to rip that chair out of my dad's hands a very short moment before it was going to go through my skull. So I knew that I needed to leave very quickly. And all the things that you think, and this is, I guess a thought-provoking thing for a Monday, to think about what you would take from your house now if you had seconds to leave, and all the things that make sense, all the money, clothes, all the things that you would think of if you had the time and the right headspace to think about it, was not at all what I chose to do. So the only thing that came to me was to run into my bathroom, opened my bathroom cabinet, grabbed my toothbrush. I didn't even grab toothpaste, just grabbed my toothbrush. And something felt really right about that. And I left home with the clothes on my back and a toothbrush. And have still to this day at 43 years of age, not returned. So I started my life again, I guess, just with that toothbrush and understanding the significance of just being able to brush your teeth and feel clean and be able to think straight to make some steps forward. Obviously, it wasn't long before I realized there was much more than my toothbrush that I needed, but that real kind of instinct in my heart really kicked in. So I think that's probably the night that Pinchapoo was born. I didn't know it yet. It was many, I choose not to say how many more years down the track that I ended up experiencing PTSD. So for anyone who's had that journey or been around that journey, congratulations for coming out the other side. It is one that I wouldn't wish on the worst of the worst. So I had 8 years of 300 plus panic attacks a day, severe depression, self-harming, suicide attempts, you name it, psychosis. It was a really, really awful time for me. And on one of my darkest days, I was in the shower using a shampoo that I had pinched from a hotel stay that I'd been I went away a couple of weekends before and it was a beautiful bottle of shampoo. And I thought, I need that today. I need to feel good about myself. I need a new smell. I started washing my hair and just had this kind of, I describe it as a lightning bolt moment. I think it's the moment where my life really changed directions and I realized why everything had happened to me, what my destiny was. But I thought, what if we started to get a few people who I knew were traveling for work or traveling for leisure to start pinching the hotel toiletries included in the cost of your accommodation, and we'll just start to see if we can help a few people. No grand thinking ideas. We'll just start to help a few people who were in situations like I had been in, and we'll just see where this goes. So ran out of the shower and dripping wet, stark naked, screaming Pinchapoo, and my husband, I think, was probably ready to take me back to hospital again. He said, calm down, tell me what's going on. So I explained it. And he said, I love it, but you can't call it Pinchapoo. And that was a really significant moment for me as well. As the second that you think outside of the box, everybody else's boundaries have to become yours. And so it very much still 15 years later is still called Pinchapoo. And we've gone from helping one or two individuals and one or two local organisations to now over 1,550 organisations around Australia, and the largest not for profit, that didn't come out right, supplier of personal hygiene products nationally.
It's truly a remarkable story, Kate. And can I just dig a bit further? This experience that you had, of course, as a teenager, and then all of your thinking, how did that crystallize then into the way that's all worked out now with the collection of all these items and then the distribution of them? That's quite a huge organization to do all that.
Oh yeah, it's been a journey, and I think to begin with, all not-for-profits wear many hats. You have to become the fundraising manager, the communications manager, the logistics manager. You wear all those hats. But I've been so blessed to have shared my energy, and others connect with it and bring a lot of people on that ride. So every time we've sort of putting together a process and outgrown it, we've rethought it. And if something's not working, we dream bigger. And if we reach a goal, we reach higher. So we've just kind of continued to evolve. And once I realized that this was something that could actually genuinely tackle one of our biggest silent social issues in Australia, I thought, why not? We've got the capacity, we've got the brain power, we've got the manpower. Let's do this. So we're really owning the issue of hygiene poverty in Australia, which is not spoken about enough at all.
So as you said, this has developed into the biggest national not-for-profit supplier of personal hygiene essentials. So I've been and visited you at your factory. Just to explain to people what that kind of all looks like and what's happening with volunteers and other folk that are making this all engine work to supply.
Ian happened to come in on a Halloween dress-up day, so that was entertaining for him. I think I was dressed up as a devil. Our warehouse manager was an angel, and there was witches everywhere. So it was actually probably not an unusual day. We do have a great culture there. We have a very inclusive culture. So just over 1/3 of our volunteers are individuals with various disabilities, so physical and intellectual disabilities. So we all love a good dress-up day, but it's a really powerful place where no matter what your capacity to give or to impact is, there's a space there for you to do it. And that's something that's happened really organically, but we've become huge advocates of, including people who, might not otherwise be included. And that has been deeply enriching, probably not just for those individuals, but very much so for us as well.
When I arrived that day, I did think, is this a costume kind of shop, thing? But I quickly realized, no, it wasn't. Now, Kate, over recent times, Pinchapoo has had some remarkable developments into schools and education programs, and even hospitals as well. Can you tell us about what's going on in that space?
Yeah, so I think we did a very good job probably for 7-8 years of helping people who were already in the system of need or already under the care of an organisation. And then we started to think, how can we capture those people who are falling through those gaps, who don't quite qualify for sorry, my dog's chewing a ball under the table. That's why everything's wobbling. Sorry. It's yeah, so we really went back to the drawing board and thought, how can we capture people? How can we make sure that nobody is falling through the loop? And I think COVID and this cost of living crisis has really escalated that as well. And financial struggle is enormous. So the first thing to be left out of your supermarket trolley is your personal hygiene products. So if you need to feed your family, you're not filling it up with, you know, $12 deodorants or, you know, $20 shampoos. They're the very first thing to go when you need to fill bellies. So we began well, it's really our flagship program now. It's a schools hygiene support program. So we work with just under 400 schools in lower socioeconomic areas around Australia, to work with those individual welfare coordinators, wellbeing coordinators, chaplains, whoever it might be at school that's in charge in that role. And I'd love that we have someone in that role. I think my life would have been very different if that had been the case when I was at school. But they're great because they can identify those children and those families in that particular community that are doing it tough, and then being able to discreetly distribute via the students and be able to impact that family as well has been something that has been really, really successful. So greater attendance rates, less bullying, better mental health. There's just been some huge outcomes of that. Sadly, however, we do have a waiting list of just over 311,000 children that are waiting to gain access to that program, which kills me every single day. We're working very hard on the funding to be able to change that. But yeah, there are many more people to reach, but I think the program is definitely something that's really working, and we're ready to make that bigger. And hospitals was another real shortfall as well. So turning up to hospital for an unexpected stay, perhaps isolated from family who can't bring you anything you might need. So yeah, making sure that all of our major hospital systems have got little personal hygiene packs to be able to provide to those patients as well has had a huge impact in their rehabilitation journey, whether it's mental health or physical issues, whatever it might be. So yeah, just really starting to find those little shortfalls in our community and how we can grab them as an opportunity to reach more people.
Now, Kate, you obviously receive lots of different hygiene products and you package them up in different ways. Can you describe some of those different packages and maybe how they look?
Yes, well, they all look beautiful, of course. We work with some pretty amazing brands. I'm not going to lie. And any opportunity I have to brag about those particular brands, I do. So Aesop, for those of you who know, Aesop is probably one of the most prestigious skin care brands in the world, one of our major product sponsors. So we're always incredibly excited when the Aesop truck comes and we get to, it's like Christmas Day, so good. But they're very good to us. Last year, they donated just over $17 million worth of product to us. So being able to pass on not just, you know, your home brand stuff, but some really nice quality stuff brings about, you know, a whole different dignity that we'll be able to provide for people. These are people who would never get to access a product like that in their lifetime. So that's really powerful. And so being able to rescue that landfill destined stock through a lot of different product suppliers is awesome. And it means that we can, as you said, Ian, provide customized hygiene solutions for everybody in every situation of need. So making sure that, you know, homeless people, for example, are not given 1 litre bottles of things because they're picking up and going every day. They can't carry things like that. So, you know, just trying to understand every individual organization that we work with, those they're supporting, and finding the right way to support them so that they're actually using the aid that we're giving them.
Well, look, this discussion today may have raised some issues for you, and I just want to add in that you can contact 1-800-RESPECT or even Lifeline 131 114. Kate, I've said it's a remarkable story. I wish I could find another word to describe it. It doesn't really still do it justice, but it's incredible. And just to see your humility and the way that you continue to have such passion about your cause and what you're doing, it's really gives us a greater sense of awe. And just we're standing here saying, wow, good on you for what you're doing.
Thank you for having me again. Thank you. Lovely to see everyone's faces on a Monday morning.